Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Oh yeah. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans.
Good afternoon. This is Truth, Lies, Shenanigans, the live show for Sunday, November 8th, 2020. My name is Neo, and in a strange turn of events, on the weekend that the U.S. election has been decided, both my co-hosts for today's show are Canadian. Below me, we have Mr. Rob B.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Sunday Fun Day. This is a joyous day. It's a joyous day.
And across from me in the corner, we have Mark Gagne returning to us.
How's it going, everybody? It's a good weekend. Finally, some good news.
Now, Mark rejoins us. Now, this time he's for the entire show, but you'll remember Mark joined us about a month back, telling us about his creepy creations and his company, Mind Melt Studios. Again, welcome back, Mark. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Now,
Good to
for
be
those
here.
looking Those looking for Lizzie, Lizzie was not feeling well today, but we hope to see her back here on Wednesday. For today's show, it finally happened. Joe Biden has been declared president-elect of the United States. We'll be celebrating and talking all about that excitement, and we'll have Delegate Jocelyn Pena-Melnick joining us in the discussing of this historic moment. Also, Rob B will be talking to us about the true Trump fanatics out there, as well as the Swedish. What were we talking about, Rob B?
The Polish women's strike.
Polish women's strike.
The Swedes do play a role in this also. So.
Oh, good. Talk about the Polish women's strike. And Mark is asking if you can separate the artist from his controversy, as Sean Connery recently died. All right, just remember, we are live everywhere. Our show streams on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at TLS Live Show. And you can watch us at truthliveshenanigans.com. Make sure you invite your friends to watch along with us because we want to get you involved in the show. Share your comments and questions in any of our live feeds, and we will be responding. Also, don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or Amazon Music. Just search for or ask Google, Alexa, or Siri to simply play the Truth Lies Shenanigans podcast. All right, guys, we have breaking news today. The longtime Jeopardy host Alex Trebek has passed away at 80 years old after a valiant battle with pancreatic cancer.
This week, I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, normally, the prognosis for this is not very encouraging, but I'm going to fight this, and I'm going to keep working, and with the love and support of my family and friends, and with the help of your prayers also, I plan to beat the low survival rate statistics for this disease. Truth told, I have to, because under the terms of my contract, I have to host Jeopardy for 3 more years. So help me. Keep the faith, and we'll win. We'll get it done.
In the title of a groundbreaking 1890 expose of poverty in New York City slums, these 3 words follow: how the. Let's take a look at your response. Did you come up with the right one? No? What is we love you out there? Thank you. Costs you $19.95. You're left with $5. Okay. In terms of getting my strength back, that hasn't happened, unfortunately.
You said you having to go through another round of chemo.
Yeah.
Was that the plan always, or this was no?
As long as I can walk out and greet the audience and the contestants and run the game, I'm happy.
How are you feeling? How's everything going?
A little tired.
You know, the fan support has, through our office, people on social media, everyone in the audience tonight was on their feet clapping and cheering. What does all that support mean to you?
It's blown me away. I told somebody the other day that most of us in our lifetimes never get to know the impact we've had on other people. You only hear about it after the person passes away. And to be able to experience it while you're alive is very special. And people have been so kind in all walks of life, sending cards, letters, offering advice, their prayers. It touches me at a very deep level. And it's an experience that on one hand, I didn't want to experience, and on the other hand, I'm glad it has happened to me because it has taught me something about where I stand in the lives of people in America and where I stand in my own life. It's forced me to re-examine my situation.
What do you want your legacy to be? How do you want us to remember you?
Just as a good guy, a nice man, and somebody that you looked at on television on a daily basis and said, hey, you know what? I like him.
Neo, thank you for putting that together. That was a very touching tribute. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
I'll admit I shed a tear when I was putting it together. Um, he
Yeah, I
was a
got a
good
little
guy.
choked up too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what were your
Yeah.
first thoughts when you found out? I mean, we just found out just moments ago. Maybe no more than a couple hours. YB.
But definitely disappointing news. You don't like to see the good ones go, and it's a particular reflection for residents of Sudbury, Ontario, which is my hometown, which is Alex Trebek's hometown. He was born here in 1940. He went to high school here. His formative years before he went off to university in Ottawa. He's been a part of the Canadian culture tapestry. He's been a wonderful spokesperson and ambassador. Uh, he has been an amazing philanthropist. The Trebek Family Foundation, that was founded in 2011 to help distribute aid to so many different organizations. The Fordham University in New York, Friends of the University of Ottawa, Red Cloud Indian School in South Dakota, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Tennessee, World Vision, United Service Organization. The list goes on and on and on. He was part of the media culture tapestry also, because other than doing the Jeopardy show, he had over 70 different shows and TV appearances that he was a part of. So
Yeah.
he was just in your face. And I love the comment, I just want to be remembered as a nice guy.
Yep.
And to me, it was always, hey, there's a smart guy that I could have a beer with. I would love to swap stories with this guy.
Yeah. Mark, what were your thoughts? Or what were
A lot of what Rob said. I mean, so many of us grew up, watching Jeopardy with our parents, and then as we got older, watching it, ourselves. It was one of those shows that kind of humbled you because you think you're smart, and then you see so many of these questions that just kind of like kick your butt, and
That's
it's
true. I was
but
always
yeah,
impressed
like
with Trebek at how well he knew everything.
yeah, like you definitely got the idea that he wasn't just a figurehead just standing there reading off of cards. Like he actually knew his stuff. Um, and yeah, it's tragic. It's the end of an era. It's tragic locally because he's a Sudbury boy, and
Yeah.
he was always a class act.
Yeah.
Like you never heard anything bad about him.
Yeah.
And it's a tragic day for that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the thing that got me choked up was when he said, I just want to be remembered, there's somebody that I saw on TV and you said, I like that guy. And honestly, I like that guy. He was a really good
Yeah.
guy. I mean, every time I
And,
watched him, just a good class act. What were you going to say, Mark?
and not only being nice, but I mean, he always had some sort of levity, to his hosting, cracking a joke and being real personable with people, so like he wasn't, just a sort of serious guy all the time, like he genuinely enjoyed his work and enjoyed being with intelligent people.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that Neil deGrasse Tyson posted a tweet within the hour, and that's one of the comments that he made was that Trebek and Jeopardy helped create a safe space, if you will, for intelligent people. It kind of normalized it where everyone went, hey, it's cool to be smart. Why? You can win some cashola. And the brainy kids
Yeah.
went, hey, I want to be on that show.
Yeah, Jeopardy will never be the same without him. I mean, I know they'll probably
No.
replace him, but it will never be his Jeopardy. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we've got a really packed show, so let's move on. Let me tell you, our viewers, what Truth Lies Shenanigans is all about. We'll be sharing our truths and opinions with you, calling out the lies, and pointing out the ridiculous shenanigans going on. But most importantly on this show, we do try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own. We do have one rule for our hosts. There's no cussing. Guys, no cussing. Otherwise, we're going to penalize you. We haven't figured that out yet, but we're going to penalize you. All right, let's get right on into our big topic of the week. Joe Biden is now president-elect. Kamala Harris will be the first ever female vice president. And Donald Trump
Lose your job. You about to lose your job.
All right, we have a special guest to join us to talk about it. Delegate Jocelyn Pena Melnick joins our show. Thank you for coming back. Jocelyn, how are you? Let me fix that. All right.
I can
Huh?
breathe deeply and breathe without having any pain. I am hopeful. Honest to God, the stress level in my household
Ooh.
has been reduced tremendously. It has affected all of us. All of us. I have not been able to sleep this week, honestly. It's
Yeah.
just, it's beautiful to see that, he finally got what he needed to be president, and to see Kamala Harris speak yesterday and him, it was just really inspiring, right? Not only can you hope, but you can work hard, you can achieve the dream. I am just really elated.
Now, for those that don't know Delegate Pena Melnick, she joined us shortly after she cast her vote at the Democratic National Convention for Joe Biden as an elected delegate in Maryland for Biden. She also serves in the Maryland House of Delegates as a Maryland State Delegate. We are so excited to have your expertise back on the show. Now, I'm just going to start out. When you heard it yesterday, I mean, what did you do? What did you do when you found out yesterday that he was definitely the president-elect and Kamala was the vice president-elect? What did you do?
I was in my pajamas all day because it was one of those days that I never have. And yesterday I decided to be in my pajamas as I clean. And when I heard it, honest to God, I opened my door. I ran across the street to my neighbor's house because she and I have both been pins and needles. And I said, "Did you hear?" And I said, "I'm going to run back to my house now," because I realized I was in my pajamas.
I mean,
It's the streaking for Biden movement.
I was just so excited. I mean, me and my, Mel. So me and my wife, we were holding, doing high fives and everything. And it's just like you said. It's like you can finally breathe again. Mark, what was happening with you? What did you do?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how people were down in the U.S., but up in Canada, like I was kind of on pins and needles this, since Tuesday. I mean, well, even before that, hoping that Biden would win. And my girlfriend and I are very plugged into news and the election, and we're so relieved that Biden won. I mean, it's been a long 4 years of just chaos. So we're kind of just looking forward to some sanity being brought back. Like
Question.
Like every day, the news would come on and there'd be something crazy going on with Trump and his group. And so yeah, we're looking forward to some sanity coming back and some decorum, and yeah, we're very happy.
Robbie, what were your thoughts?
I
You've been on the show every week, and we've been talking about Trump, like every day.
I know. It's when I saw the numbers finally roll in, when I saw 284 to 214, I jumped out of my office chair and ran into the living room with the phone out going, "Baby, hey, look at what happened. Look at what happened. They did it. They did it." And it is a big sigh of relief in Canada because Trump's administration has cost Canadians a lot. It has caused rifts between our two countries, between ideologies. And after hearing Joe and Kamala's speeches, I feel like the office of the President of the United States finally has reason. And like Mark said, decorum. I've always said that about Trump, just the lack of decorum. So to have that level of respect and decorum in the Oval Office again brings hope about for the international community. It's not just you that was on pins and needles. It's all of us breathing a collective sigh of relief. But I understand it's ground zero for you. So I really hope that the next 4 years can be that of healing and unity and working towards something better.
And let me play this clip real quick.
We did it. We did it, Joe.
This was her initial reaction.
You're going to be the next president of the United States.
So humble.
I know,
So
right?
humble. I mean, what a humble individual. Like, that is the honest truth. And they both are humble and charismatic, what we have been lacking for 4 years. You know, it's amazing to have real people with feelings
This is
and
the
honesty.
last 4 years for me have been like, I don't know, I described it several different ways. I described it as like, you know, like I feel like I've been having an asthma attack for 4 years and suddenly, you know, maybe I got a spritz or something and I can breathe. Or on my page, I put, you know, I don't know if anybody watches the show Naked and Afraid, but, you know, they're in the wilderness for 21 days naked and they have to figure out, and they're struggling. And then all of a sudden they get to this extraction point once the time is over. They haven't eaten and everything. And then all of a sudden they get taken away to feasts and stuff. And I mean, it feels like, oh my God, finally, this is over. The nightmare is over. I mean, it wasn't just that he had bad policies or that, you know, it wasn't like dealing with Bush back in the day where, you know, you didn't like a lot of the stuff he did. You didn't like his policies. This guy was just caustic. And it's so good that it just feels good that that will be gone. Jocelyn?
Yeah, he was such a toxic. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You go ahead, Mark.
No, it's okay.
he
Go
was
ahead.
just he was just such a toxic individual. Like, I don't think I've ever encountered a more toxic person in the public view. And you know, it's like a glitch in the matrix has been repaired now. You know, like we were like living like the worst timeline, and now it's like the universe is sort of repairing itself, or at least I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of damage done, but hopefully we can start repairing it. You know.
Yeah, he was just toxic, you know, very, as a Afro-Latina, as a woman, I feel like he wasn't my president, right?
Yep.
And he spoke so poorly of, you know, Blacks, Latinos, people with disabilities. Like, there wasn't a group that he could spare.
Right.
The guy was just really, I hate to say it, he was racist, a bigot, divisive, nasty, disrespectful. You know, I felt like not just the policy work and the issues that should be on the ballot, like healthcare, the economy, COVID-19, education, transportation, you know, all of that. But it was also decency,
Right.
human decency and truth and science. All of that was on the ballot.
Yeah.
And what do we stand for as Americans?
Yeah.
He reflects, you know, children, you reflect me like I reflect my parents, right? How I speak, how I behave. He reflected us in the world.
And in the worst way. Let me play this clip here. So I'm going to start with Kamala because I think, you know, like I said, the biggest thing for me is, and the reason I voted so fervently, the reason I even started Truth Lies Shenanigans was because of my I just couldn't, it was almost like it was a way to try to save myself because of how I was feeling. And it was a platform that I created, I wanted to create for us to be able to speak out and call out the truth and the lies and all those shenanigans that were going on. But I think secondarily, this is the second biggest thing that happened, and this was about Kamala.
And so I am thinking about her and about the generations of women, Black women, Asian, white, Latina, Native American women who throughout our nation's history have paved the way for this moment tonight. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy. And what a testament it is to Joe's character that he had the audacity to break one of the most substantial barriers that exists in our country and select a woman as his vice president. I may be the first woman in this office. I will not be the last.
Yeah, because Jocelyn's going to be the next
Little
one.
girl sees that this is a country of possibilities. And to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I have to say,
Well
throughout that
said.
entire clip, I was watching Jocelyn's reaction. And Jocelyn, it was like watching a kid on Christmas morning. That her words were resounding so deeply with you, just as a female politician. It's, you know, a person of color in the U.S. And what was the impact of that for you personally?
Yeah, I have to say, as an immigrant myself who came to this country with a mother who didn't even study to the 3rd grade, but always said that education was important. You know, she got to me yesterday. It moved me because I had a dream and I worked hard, but I didn't have a lot of role models. And little girls can see her. They can see her today and they can dream, and that is powerful. I have a set of twin girls that are in college. They can see, and there's a saying that says you cannot be what you can see. And now we can see. That is powerful. It is moving. It is inspiring.
Yeah, I mean that for me, like I said, I mean, biggest thing was getting Trump out, but that is the biggest thing. I mean, Biden's great, love Biden, but even when she became the candidate for vice president, I was excited and just it started to like galvanize me and the movement that I had behind Biden by selecting her because you know throughout the whole presidential run, I wasn't sure who I really liked as a candidate. I really wasn't sure on Biden. That Biden, he sold me on his heart, which was a good way to go. But it was really Kamala that kind of galvanized that for me. Mark, did you have any comments?
Well, yeah, I just I pretty much echo everybody here. Like it's really great to see some representation finally for you know people leading your country, and it just even people that can speak in complete sentences. You know, like it's good to see some intelligence back in leadership. You know, no more anti-science, no more anti-whatever. You know, like we can just get back to business.
Yeah, I do want to talk about. Well, first, let's talk about Trump supporters because there's a comment online from. Let me see if I can find it real quick. From Mike Winter, it said we have to deal with the fact that 70 million people voted for him. Several of them because he spoke to their racist ideologies. Biden did say this.
All those of you who voted for President Trump, I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself, but now let's give each other a chance. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again.
Yeah.
And to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans.
So, Jocelyn, how did, I mean, when we're talking about these Trump supporters, and Mike Winter made the great point of 70 million people, which is the second most number of votes for any candidate in history for Donald Trump, says that there is a lot of people who support his ideals, his personality, who he is. I mean, how do you bridge the gap between that, knowing that if he was so divisive? How do we bridge the gap between those supporters?
You know, when I first saw that number, I was really sad.
I was too.
You know, I was really sad because I knew that there was division, but to see it that close,
yes,
really is very telling about our country and about people. And that was really, it broke my heart
I'm with
because
you.
I didn't believe those numbers.
Yeah.
We have a lot of work to do. And I think that if anyone can do it, it's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they have the heart, the warmth. They can feel people. His heart is open. You can honestly, last night when you listened to him, you can tell that he meant it, that it was honest from his core. And that is what this country needs so that we can heal. And I know that he is going to work on it and he will surround himself with people that can have those values, they share those values and principles, that we're all the same and that he's the president for everyone, regardless. And he keeps saying it and he needs to repeat it so that people can believe it and start accepting it.
Yeah.
But I was very disappointed in those numbers.
And I want to get to Robbie and Mark real quick, but I want to say that was telling to me. Is like when you, I was just and I was talking to my wife while I was going on. I was like, I can't believe that many people voted for him. I just can't even believe it. Even before I saw the numbers, I'm just like, I don't understand what it is that is appealing. And I don't believe that we have 70 million racists in the country. I don't think we have 70 million evil people in this country or people that are like Trump or I just don't believe that. But there is something that draws them to him. And I am just shocked, honestly. I'm shocked that there is such that divisiveness. Robbie, Mark?
It's like you said, there aren't 70 million. Okay, there may or there may not be 70 million racist people in America.
May or may
but
not.
It may or may not be, right? So it's just might be, but that's it. It just he appeals to a lot of those groups that they're fringe groups because he appeals to multiple platforms. He supports multiple platforms that promote xenophobia, that promote ignorance, that promote, if you're making 400K or more, you're not in line with Biden's tax plan. So people who are pulling down money are going, well, that's a reason for me. I want to protect what's my pile. And I'm hoping that Joe's speech was very telling, that they want to collaborate, that they want to work together, not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. They're opponents on political platforms, but at the end of the day, you're serving the good of the American people. And you have to find that middle ground somewhere. You're going to do it by seeing one another again, listening to one another. What are the needs? Right. What are the issues? And seeing Joe and Kamala's families together on stage when the fireworks were going off.
Mm-hmm.
The diversity on stage. It was beautiful to me. It's like, okay, that's the melting pot that they're always talking about. And we're seeing it visibly. It's there. So
yes.
Since you mentioned that, let me just play this one.
Proud of the coalition we put together. The broadest and most diverse coalition in history. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, progressives,
that's right.
Conservatives, young, old, urban, suburban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially those moments, and especially for those moments where this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African American community stood again for me.
He did.
I love this.
And I'll have yours.
I love that.
Yes. And yes. I wanted to address that. I mean, he said, he pointed out the black community had his back. I mean, in South Carolina, when he was at his lowest and he was looking like he might not, make it through the primaries, South Carolina, the black community came out in droves and voted for him in the primaries. And, he skyrocketed into first place ahead of Bernie Sanders. And you look at the diversity, Rob mentioned it, on, in that crowd everywhere and throughout, even Kamala herself. You're looking at, so he's really changing the dynamic of politics and doing the right things. But early on, the black community, there were some in the black community who were saying Biden is not for the black community. Biden is not for the black community. He's done things against the black community. I just want to ask Jocelyn real quick, what are your thoughts on Biden and the black community?
Look, as a legislator, I can tell you that there are bills that you vote for at the beginning of your career that you look back and you may not have supported it because you have more information, right? You learn more about the topic, more about the community. I have met him, and I can tell you that he has a beautiful heart and that he loves the black community. He loves everyone because that is just who he is. And his wife, they have a good heart. They're good people.
Yep.
They're good people. And I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we need to educate people. But you know what? Actions speak louder than words. And I am confident that his cabinet will be a rainbow. And his cabinet will be respectful of the black community. And like he said, he's going to have the black community's back because he's grateful and he knows that he couldn't be where he's at today without the black vote and the Latino vote in Nevada and Arizona and Pennsylvania. Because we were calling the Latino community. I was calling the Latino community every week in Pennsylvania. So he is extremely grateful. It is the black community and brown community that has gotten where he's at, especially the black community, black women.
Yep. And if you no one can ever say that your vote doesn't matter, because a race this close, if we didn't have everyone talking about go vote, go vote, go vote, getting those people in the inner cities out to vote, some of these margins were in the tens of thousands of people. That's not a lot. That's barely enough to fill a basketball arena. I mean, that's not a lot of people. When you're talking 70 million, and some of these votes were just, I mean, it is so wonderful to see that people really went out to vote. I mean, it was great to see it on Trump's side. I mean, he got his people out to vote. I mean, that's why it was so scary. But I mean, just to see 150 million, at least close to half of the American population out voting, participating, was great to see to me. Mark, did you have any?
But look at Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams registered more than 800,000 people in Georgia.
Wow.
She helped register more than 800,000 people.
Wow.
I think it's beautiful.
Mark, did you have any comments?
Well, just what you had mentioned before about the 70 million people, and are there that many racists? And I think, sadly, I do think there are that many racists. I think Trump kind of put out the bat signal for those people when he was running and got elected. It was kind of like a signal that you can be more open with your xenophobia and so on.
That's true.
But I hope that people can start being educated again and start being friendlier and more open to communicate with each other, because I couldn't imagine another 4 years of Trump, and where would your country be after another 4 years?
That scared me.
The experiment, the American experiment, I think would have been finished.
Yeah.
The Republic would have been finished. And that's scary, because we're right above you guys, and you guys are one of the world leaders in terms of countries, and it's scary to think about what the alternative could have been.
And I think the night of the election,
we have to learn from this.
Yes, no question.
Yes.
The night of the election, I'm going to tell you, I could not sleep because I was so scared of another 4 years. I was scared. I mean, I don't know that I've ever felt like that. I mean, where it felt so out of control and like, what am I going to do? I just can't do another 4 years.
Yeah. I just want to, there was all, there was all these memes going around about, find yourself a Canadian to adopt you kind of thing, and it's just like, it's a joke.
Wow.
But I mean, even the previous election when Trump got in, I had American friends reach out to me about like, staying at my place and stuff. It's funny, but it's not funny. Like when you have that much despair that you're actually thinking about leaving your country and crashing on
There was at
somebody's
least a
couch.
thought in my head.
Like, and even this election too, like I had a few people that were serious and not serious, about like, can I move in with you? Because this is scary, and it's sad.
To your earlier comment, Mark, about there probably are 70, you believe there could be 70 million racist people. I mean, Lizzie is online. There is no difference between a racist apologist enabler and a racist to me. It's the same result. So what she's saying in essence is, of the 70 million, if you're supporting, she feels if you're supporting Donald Trump, then you are a racist. I don't know if I personally agree with that, but I think people can have other reasons for supporting an individual. But
Absolutely.
With that being said,
one of the other comments online is from your wife, where she states that she met a black male yesterday that's a Trump supporter, and he was very angry that Trump lost. He's against Kamala, and a lot of black men don't like her. And my wife Jose's response is in there. I can't keep up with the stream, but just saying that, right. But her comment was to the effect that strong, powerful women intimidate a lot of men. And I can see where the misogyny would come into play, where it's just like, well, no, like she's the next in line. I can't cast my vote there. Mm-hmm. So they're still divisive ideas, but it may not be based on race entirely. But it is definitely based on some form of xenophobia.
I have to tell you, I had an interview once for, I was seeking, as you know, when you run, you seek endorsement from different organizations and the media. And I remember being interviewed, and I'm not going to say by who, but this very powerful organization. And one of the gentlemen asked, I heard that you're very aggressive. I said, I'm not
aggressive.
Excuse me. I said, I am passionate. And when I believe in something, I give it my absolute best. But that was told to me during an interview for endorsement.
Yeah.
And people do things like that of women, especially black women. Like we're angry.
Angry
and that's not the case. Okay. Yeah. We are passionate and we fight for what we believe. And you have to understand my culture, all of it.
And it's out of necessity. I mean, if you've been held back your entire life and you are not being given the rights and the ability to the equality that you're seeking, you've got to be able to speak up. You've got to be able to. If you think back to slavery times, I used to wonder why slaves never revolted, right? Why the slaves? I mean, there were attempts throughout history for slave revolts, but ultimately, it never happened. But if you go back to earlier history, it happened with Native Americans. They tried to enslave Native Americans. They tried to enslave. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but they tried to enslave Native Americans. They tried to enslave. I think it was indentured servants. I think were mostly Irish Americans at the time, and they tried to enslave those. But those people didn't allow it because, Native Americans would escape, or they had help from, their tribesmen. Of course, we know what happened to Native Americans being obliterated. But with that being said, it really comes down to you've got to be able to speak up. You've got to be able to fight. And, these tropes of, angry black woman, angry black, that is ridiculous. You have to speak up. You have to be able to fight for what's right and get what you need.
Well, everybody deserves to have a voice in the room, like not one person should be louder than the other. And usually that's what happens in politics, is that the loudest, most obnoxious person gets the power.
Very true.
And in terms of you brought up slavery and everything, a lot of it that plays into not fighting back is the mental health aspect. And wearing somebody down mentally, and the PTSD and everything, a lot of these, there's lots of tangents I can go on, but a lot of it is played upon with the mental health aspect of keeping people down.
Yeah. So we've run out of time. So I want to close out, and I want to ask Jocelyn this question. where do you see, now that we have Kamala, we have Biden, where do you see the future of the Democratic Party at this point? I mean, I know you're a Democrat, and you know, like I say, black people felt disenfranchised by the Democratic Party, but others have too. I mean, the Trump voters have felt disenfranchised. Where do you see the future of the Democratic Party as a whole?
I think that as a party, we need to be more inclusive. Especially, we cannot forget that even though Biden won, thank God, that you still have Warren, Elizabeth Warren, you have Bernie Sanders, and you had a lot of people that were running, and that there are a lot of people that feel that they have not been included and not brought to the table. So I think you're going to see new people in leadership. You're going to see more of a rainbow in the room, and I think that the party is very much aware of that. And you can see by the efforts that were made, the calls to Georgia, to Pennsylvania, to Florida, the fact that the party, brought it, sort of worked on different coalitions and helped Biden build it. I think that as we move forward, we have to do things differently. People have spoken and they want that. And it's about being in the room, right? It's about being in the room.
And my final question to you is, when are we going to see you in Congress so we can?
You know what? I try in 2016.
I remember.
And I gave it my absolute best. I left it all out there. I was able to get the endorsement of the Washington Post, and the community supported me. But I did not win, so it wasn't my time. And you don't know what the future holds, right? I love to serve. I'm not in this, honest to God, because I'm thinking of what's the next move.
And I know this
I'm
about
in
you.
it.
I know this
I
about
do
you.
this 7 days a week. It's a part-time job. I go to a hospital. I go to a school. I do food distribution. I do this from my heart in a very humble way. And
There's no question.
We'll see what the future holds. I love my community.
And this is why I want
really
you to run, because that's what we need. That's what we need
Thank
now.
you.
And so I appreciate you so much for joining us. This was an incredible discussion. So
yes, thank you so much for joining us.
You are welcome back often.
Yeah.
Thank you for having a beautiful, generous heart. I am optimistic. My children are optimistic,
Yeah.
But we need to worry about those people that didn't vote for him, and we
Yes.
need to help bring them, to the table and address it as well. And we're ready.
All right.
It was a pleasure and honor being with you, Mark and Rob.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
it was a
Delegate
pleasure meeting
Johnson,
you.
Kenya Melnick.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Incredible conversation. Incredible conversation. Any final thoughts?
The one thing that really struck me about Joe when he got up and spoke is he immediately endorsed his wife, just saying, I wouldn't be here without Jill. I'm Jill's husband. I wouldn't be. And he was just, I don't remember ever hearing Trump ever hoisting up his wife and his family.
That's true.
And just, so to say
Always
that.
about him.
Exactly. So now we have a president-elect who displays humility, who displays traditional good family values. That was something that really struck me to the core, and that his wife is a former teacher. So now First Lady is a retired school teacher. That's important.
All right, let me get to some quick comments online that I saw. A lot of comments about Stacey Abrams. Stacey Salai says Stacey Abrams is the legend. Mel Blaine said Stacey Abrams, she did her thing. Rupka says, glad Trump is out and someone I can truly understand who can speak English. Paul Hatzis says, so no concerns about Trump winning in the Supreme Court? That's a great question. We should have asked that while she was on there. I'll just say I don't believe that's going to be an issue because he would have to prove widespread voter fraud, and the number of states that he's lost, he would have to prove that all of those states were cheating against him, which is virtually impossible for him to prove. So
There's never been voter fraud.
yeah,
It's such a conspiracy theory. Like there's never been proof of voter fraud ever.
there's been minor proof, but the funny
Minor
thing,
ones, but not
we're talking
like not
2
on
or
the scale
3.
that he's talking about.
Right, we're talking in the tens, not even the tens of thousands or even the thousand. We're talking in like, you know. And the funny thing is, the ones that have been investigated so far have been Republicans and Trump supporters, and they found to be. All right, so we've got to move on. There's a lot of comments online, so we appreciate you commenting online. Unfortunately, we've got to move on. So we are going to jump into our hot topics.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Mark, we might only have time for one hot topic today. So, Mark, we're starting with you. What is your hot topic? Is this a truth, lie, or shenanigan?
So truth, lie, shenanigan. Well, I mean, it's I guess a truth. Like, you know, it revolves around, you know, the separation of art and artist. You know, recently Sean Connery passed away tragically, of course. And you know, he was an entertainment icon, and but you know, as sad as it is, he also left a bit of a tarnished legacy behind. You know, with his comments about his violence against women, and his misogyny and sexist comments. You know, in past interviews and everything, and it just sort of made me think about, you know, the separation of art and artist. Can you make peace with an artist's you know, poor behavior and still enjoy the art that they put out?
I know Sean Connery regrets this conversation.
Okay, you did an interview in which you said, not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist, it's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
You haven't?
No, not at all.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
You don't think it's bad?
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it. Yeah.
What would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, that they can't leave it alone. They want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again, and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
By the way, Sean Connery has been married to Micheline for 31 years, and we have not heard a single complaint.
It, you know, it just goes, it's like, you know, women need to behave themselves or they're going to get a slap, you know, and it's just, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's probably, you know, an archaic belief or whatever, you know, it's something like women in their place and be in the kitchen and, you know, that whole sort of 50s sexism, but it's still a toxic belief, you know.
What's your question?
So my question is, you know, can you separate the art from the artist? You know, like there's so many figures like Mel Gibson, Louis C.K., and on, you know, and can you enjoy the art that they produce, and while they are also have very flawed people, you know, can you still enjoy a Louis C.K. stand-up? Can you still enjoy, you know, Sean Connery's performances as James Bond, for instance?
So I'll start if you don't mind, Rob. So
yeah, go for it.
So for me, right, there's lots of people you could talk about. Like you could talk about Tyson, you know, being a rapist, and now he's being, you know, he's great. Everybody loves Mike Tyson. Or the one that really stands out to me is R. Kelly, right? And most likely it stands out mostly to me because I have a personal thing against people who abuse children or young people. So that's just a personal thing for me. So maybe he stands out more to me. But the question is, you know, for a long time I'd heard that, you know, he was abusing young girls and he liked to have sex with teen girls, and you know, I'd heard it over and over again. We know about Aaliyah, and how he married her at 16 or whatever it was, and I still listened to his music for a very long time because I really liked his music. And it wasn't until the documentary on R. Kelly where we really saw how he was treating the women. And I don't know why that had to move me to start hating R. Kelly's work. But what ended up happening is by seeing what he was doing to women, every time I heard an R. Kelly song, I didn't like the R. Kelly song anymore. I really started to actually literally hate the R. Kelly song and his work. So I don't know that sometimes you have to know or truly believe that what you're hearing is true. So I don't know. I feel like I can separate the artist from. I can separate his artist from his work, but I choose not to anymore. Robbie?
I really like what you finished off with there, Neo. Just that it's a choice. It really is a choice at the end of the day. And because of our conversation this week, knowing that this was going to be a story, for me, it's Tyson stands out. Kevin Spacey stands out. I love silly comedy. Mike Tyson Mysteries has made me laugh tremendously. And now I kind of have to cut it out of my repertoire. Like you said, he's a rapist. He's a wife beater. You're not heavyweight champion of the world and then beating on women. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's people in positions of authority, people in positions of power and influence who then abuse that power. It's absolutely sickening. Kevin Spacey, I loved in K-Pax, The Usual Suspects. He just a powerful performer, very diverse. And I can't watch any of his films anymore. I think the only film that I've watched since everything came out regarding him was Horrible Bosses, because I believe that that's a caricature of the true person. It's a little bit closer reflection, and I really appreciate the cast and the rest of it. But at the end of the day, these people get paid royalties. They get paid on viewership. The more you listen to a song, the more an artist gets paid. The more you watch media content, the more these artists get paid. I would rather these people just not live the wealth and lavish lifestyles that they have if they are complete POSs in real life.
By the way, Lizzie corrected me online. Aaliyah was 14. But Mark, any last thoughts?
Well, like the John Kricfalusi, who created Ren and Stimpy. He's an extremely awful person, and I grew up watching Ren and Stimpy and like so many others as well. And he groomed young women and took advantage of them with his power, and it sometimes it's hard to separate the art from the artist, especially when they work on something that's kind of collaborative. Because there's a lot of great people that worked on Ren and Stimpy, like Bob Camp, for instance.
Billy West.
Billy West, like there's so many great creators out there, and it's a tricky thing. You kind of have to tackle it, on a case-to-case basis.
All right, time's up. If you have a couple of seconds, you want to finish your thought.
Well, yeah, just it especially nowadays, with when news hits about something, it just goes global so quickly. It's a hard thing to sort of process sometimes, and I think it's a worthy conversation to have. That the creation, the art that's out there, it's sometimes worthwhile to learn about who's actually creating it, and the whole background on it, and really look at what you're consuming as entertainment.
All right, let me get to some of these. So Jose says, "What? But Ren and Stimpy? Fuck." That was a quote.
I know. I know. I mean, as an artist, like I grew up watching it. I love animation and everything, and there was so much creativity in that cartoon. Like it kind of reminded me of the old Warner Brothers cartoons and Tex Avery, who was also another very flawed creator. But it's sad to learn about these things that were so close to your heart, and with there's like nostalgia glasses that we have on for things.
Yep. I just want to get a quick comment from Liz Z online. The thing is, people weren't listening to the truth about R. Kelly, especially the black community. Vibe exposed R. Kelly back in 1994. Extensive reporting on all of his bullshit, which I guess she's allowed to to cuss online now.
She's taken creative license with using the thread.
He's lucky.
Props to Lizzie.
And I get lucky because I get to quote it. Then there was a video of him peeing on and sexing a teenager that came out a few years later. And that's the thing. I mean, I knew about the video too, and still I was listening to his music. Again, I was a little bit younger back in the 90s, but I've grown to understand differences.
Yeah, I think a lot of it, processing things like that, I think also comes with maturity too.
It does.
Where you can look at different facets of things and be a little more analytical with it.
I'll say I'm a totally different person than I was. I mean, in terms of my morals and values, I see things so differently today than I did just 5 to 10 years ago. I mean, it's so different, so very different.
And there's nothing wrong with personal growth either.
Right.
That's a part of evolution.
Yep. And Jacqueline Robinson says, I was stunned at the number of parents in the Chicago area who saw nothing wrong with what R. Kelly was doing. And she also says, with R. Kelly, there was a conspiracy of silence with family members, parents, his record label, and lawyers. All right. And Thaxton says, and people kept sending their kids to his house. Their parents were just as bad, if not worse, than Michael Jackson.
You get blinded by celebrity.
Yep. All right, so that's it for that hot topic, Rob B. We do not have time for yours, but I'd like for you to at least tell us what was going on.
Yeah. So very, very briefly, October 30th, abortion in Poland was essentially deemed illegal unless really it was that if there was a health risk to the woman or if the fetus was irreparably damaged. And now what that has sparked is a women's strike throughout all of Poland, Strajk Kobiet. And they have taken to the streets. They have stopped working. They have gone on a general strike. They have stopped cooking. They have stopped cleaning. They've stopped driving. The women have removed themselves as much as possible from the fabric of daily life in order to oppose these draconian laws. In a lot of Eastern European nations, we do see a lot of patriarchal legal moves, and this is another. And women have just risen up and said, no. I encourage people to look up the story online because these strikes have been going on for over a week now. And because of the pressure, the president, Andrzej Duda, is looking at repealing these laws, which are very draconian. And the tie to Sweden is that when Poland made its announcement, Sweden immediately followed up and said, our borders are open to Polish women for safe abortions.
Nice.
So to me, that just spoke absolute volumes. And it's important to note that the political group that's in power is very Catholic leaning. So we have, this is why we have the separation of church and state. That's why it's integral in any democratic society, because you're entitled to your religious values. I'll grant you that. But the minute it starts infringing on people's personal values, I really stand harshly against that. So power to the people. The women of Poland are getting it done. Keep fighting, sisters. It's absolutely amazing. Don't stop until these terrible, terrible draconian laws are repealed.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Robbie, for that. All right.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, guys, let's get into our game show and close out the show. Now, because of the recent death of Alex Trebek, we are playing Jeopardy, or our version of Jeopardy. All right. So the way this will work is we will go round robins. We don't have buzzers, so we'll go round robin style. We'll do 3 rounds, and Then we'll have a final Jeopardy question. Make sure you have your paper ready. Whoever has the most points at the end wins the game and gets the final thought for the show. All right. So it's first time doing it this way, so let's try it out. Let's start with Mark. You can pick television, history, science, music, or wild card. And then tell me the value that you'd like to have.
I'll go with wild card 300.
Wild card for 300. All right. It is where all your food mixes with other particles. Remember, you must start with what is.
Where all your food mixes with other particles. Oh, what is your stomach?
Your stomach. Let's see. What is your stomach is correct. Yes. Good job. All right. So, Mark is 300. Maybe then. All right. That's it. All right. First time doing it this way. All right. 300. All right. So, next. Robbie. Television, history, science, music, wild card.
Let's do science for 3.
By the way, Daxon, I thought it was mouth too. Science for 3?
Yes, please.
All right. The planet is not dense, so it can float in water. This planet is not dense, so it can float in water.
What is Venus?
What is Venus? Let's see. What is Saturn? That was going to be my guess, actually. Saturn.
Uranus.
So minus 300 points. Whoops, that's not. Minus 300 points for Rob. All right. So I will take television for 200. A show popular in the 1950s where a wife gets into crazy trouble with her Latin husband. What is I Love Lucy?
Lucy.
Yes.
You got some explaining to do.
Neo gets. All right. Wait. All right. Mark. Oh, so Kevin Daxon guessed Jupiter. Mark.
I'll go music 400.
Oh, music for 100 or music 400?
400.
Music for 400. The movie that Fallen for You and Can't Stop Singing. The movie that, quote, Fallen for You and, quote, Can't Stop Singing.
Ooh. I'm not good with musicals if that's a musical.
Wish I could help you.
Jeez, I don't know.
I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know. What is I don't know?
What is Teen Beach Movie? That is negative 400 points for Mark.
Okay.
All right, we're just gonna. All right, now Robbie, you're next.
All right. Let's see. I got to pull myself out of the hole here. So let's do. You know what? Television for 4.
Television for 400. All right. She was Rocky on Shake It Up.
What is minus 700?
What is Zendaya? All right. So let me get. That's funny. All right. I'm going to take music for 100. I don't know. What was that? I shouldn't have picked music, actually. I should have gone backwards. Problem. I'm going to go with Katy Perry. Katy Perry. Oh, I knew it's one of them.
Oh,
Ariana Grande.
same vein. Same vein.
All right, minus 100 for Neo. All right, this is the last round. Mark, you got some room to make up your negative 100.
I'll do science 500.
Ooh, science 500.
Ooh, just going for it. I'm going for it.
It is the process plants go through to make their own food. Oh, wow.
Photosynthesis?
What is photo? Oh, wait. You didn't
what
say
what is photosynthesis?
All right,
What
I'll let
is
it slide. I'll let it slide.
Sorry.
What is photosynthesis? No. Somebody missed
Wrong spelling, but
all right.
There's a Star Wars joke there somewhere.
All right, Robbie,
Photosynthesis.
you got 700 points to make up.
Oh man. Yeah,
You
I
don't
hope
know
you've got
what
daily
flower
doubles
on
hidden
the
there.
dark side.
Wild card for 5.
All right, let's see. All right, trombone, French horn, tuba, baritone, trumpet are all kinds of instruments. Are all that kind of instrument?
What are brass?
What are brass? Let's see. Yes, that is correct. What are brass instruments? You're at negative 200.
My musical kryptonite, by the way, I cannot play reeded instruments such as brass instruments. That's horrible.
All right, I'm going to try to catch up with television for 300. All right, 2 girls living in an apartment in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, working at a beer company. They also have 2 weird friends that went to high school with. Was that Laverne? What is Laverne and Shirley? Is that right?
Schlemiel.
Yep.
Schlemazel.
Yes, Laverne and Shirley. We are tied. All right, Robbie, you are out of Final Jeopardy. All right, so we're just going to take History for 500 as our Final Jeopardy question. All right, Mark, between me and you. And we've got to write it down. Ready?
Okay.
He wrote the Star-Spangled Banner in 1931.
Oh, it's a real shame I'm out for this one.
Yeah.
And don't forget to put how much you're betting.
Do I show how much, or do I show like on a piece of paper what I
Yeah,
wrote?
on a piece of paper and how your answer and how much you're betting. Oh, we're supposed to do the betting first, but whatever. Forgot about that part.
It's on the same piece of paper. We're good.
Okay.
You ready? Go ahead.
Yep.
Can you see it? What is Francis Scott Key? I think I got this was R. Kelly. Funny. All right. All right. Neo wins Final Jeopardy. R. Kelly, that was funny. All right, that was hilarious. That was a fun game of Jeopardy. All right, before we close out, let's get in some shout outs. All right. Mark, any shout outs for you?
Yeah, I'll shout out to my beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Avril. You know, she's always there for me when I need a pick me up, and she's a supporter of my art, and she's my partner, and so many things. So I just want to say that I love you, and hi, Mom.
Robbie, any shout outs?
Shout out to Mom, shout out to Jose, shout out to Mark for joining us. Thank you, Mark. It was great to have you as a co-host as opposed to having you on as a guest. So thank you. Shout out to our audience. Lizzie, wonderful job exploiting the no swearing rule. Wonderfully done. Thank you, my friend. But yeah, that's shout outs to everyone. Well done, America. Shout out to America.
I just want to. Sorry, I just saw this come. Thaxton just pointed out. Kevin Thaxton just pointed out that the Final Jeopardy question was that he wrote it in 1931, which he would have written in like. Anyway, long. That's the wrong date.
He's a time traveler. Maybe it was R. Kelly then.
It might have been.
He left it in someone's mailbox. I've seen that movie.
All right, my shout out goes to Delegate Jocelyn Pena Melnick. I want to thank her so much for joining us. That was a very lively discussion, very timely. She was a perfect guest for this topic, so I do appreciate you joining us. She's, by the way, Jocelyn Pena Melnick is like one of the most wonderful people you'll ever meet. I mean, she is just the kindest, sweetest, and she is very passionate about what she believes in, which is, you know, it's hard to find. So that's my shout out to Jocelyn. Thank you again for joining us. So that's it. All right, that's it for our shout out. Oh, the music's not working today for some reason for our shout out. All right. Well, that's all the show we have. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something new, gained a new perspective, even got some things off your chest. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe at TLS Live Show. And if you missed any of today's episodes, check out our clips tomorrow on Facebook or YouTube. Remember, you can listen to us on Spotify, Google, Alexa, you name it. You should be able to find the Truth Lies Shenanigans podcast. Or you can simply go to tlsshow.com or tlspod.com. I had a fun time, guys, tonight. It was really good. I want to thank you, Mark, for coming in. Don't forget, we have our next show is Wednesday, 8 p.m. We will have another small business spotlight and some new hot topics, whatever's going on in the world at the time. And for the final thought of the day, I get the final thought. I want to show people this. This was happening in Clark County Election Department where Trump supporters were praying, and then we had another video from Rob B where they were talking in tongues, and all I want to say is thank God this is over. This nightmare is absolutely over. Thank you, Biden, Kamala, and thank you guys for voting. So I don't have to say please go vote anymore. All right, guys.
Rock the vote.
Great show today. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks, Mark, for joining us. And we'll see you guys Wednesday.
Shenanigans.